the Indian theatre in 1942, it went on to operate some 1,900 examples. Drive from the Douglas DC-3 or the Douglas Sleeper Transport as it started out, initially as a commercial airliner. That was in 1935. It was another of those great interwar advances in aircraft technology. It made airline services across the US immediately faster and more profitable. The first military version was a VIP transport, the C-41. But its expansion into other roles was inevitable, and to the US Army Air Force it was called the C-47 Skytrain. There was also the C-53 Sky Trooper, a variant optimised for the dropping of paratroops. To the British and Commonwealth forces, it was the Dakota.
It's not just umbrellas. It's not just umbrellas. That's boring.
General Eisenhower, who credited the Dakota as being one of the primary assets that made a difference for the Allies during the Second World War, together with the Duke on those operations. Used by military services throughout the world well into the 70s, the 80s, and I think in fact the South Africans eventually retired theirs in the early 90s. Well, in fact they still have some turboprop versions in service even today. This is the final pass though by the Dakota 3 of the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight. Loadmaster on drive was injured, Wright took over and landed. On drive, Julie assumed command of the Luftwaffe in those last desperate days of the war. The following day, the 27th of April 1945, a Storch like the one we'd seen circling at very slow speed in front of us was shot down over Berlin by a Yak fighter. And here we reenact those events with the Yakovlev Yak-3M in the air at the same time as the Storch. Today, the Storch incorporated very advanced high-lift devices, fixed leading edge slats, and large slotted control surfaces on the trailing edges. It was ordered in quantity, around 3,000 of them were made in all, and they took part in some legendary wartime exploits like the rescue of Mussolini in September 1943 from his mountaintop hotel hideout in the Apennines. The Storch flew the overthrown Italian dictator to Pratica di Mare, not far from Rome, from where he was transported to Austria. describe the Storch here, the Yakovlev Yak 3, part of a lengthy family of Yak piston engine fighters, really amongst the unsung heroes of World War II. The qualities of the Yak 3 were its high rates of turn and roll. It was more than a match for contemporary German fighters like the Messerschmitt Bf-109G and the Focke-Wulf FW-190. It took part in its first major combats in the Battle of Kursk in July to August 1943. That was a crucial engagement for the Soviets on the Eastern Front in gaining the upper hand against German forces. From 1944 saw the start of large-scale deliveries of Yak 3s, and its usefulness was confirmed by the famed Normandie-Niemen Squadron, the Free French manned unit Régiment de Chasse 3, which had been set up in the wake of the German invasion of the USSR in an effort to increase ties between de Gaulle's Free French. And now the Storch has taken cover on the ground and rolled for takeoff again. And you can see it getting off in absolutely nothing there. They opted for the American Allison engine. Standing pattern.
And you're starting at 3.6.
It doesn't look as though the Yak has been successful on this occasion in combating the German liaison aircraft. Storch, in comparison with some on the circuit, which are license-built Morin-Saunier Criquet variants with radial engines. This one has the original 240 horsepower inlined Argus motor. There, it brakes to the right with the Officer Autocrat going left. This representing the military Officer AOP, Air Observation Post aircraft that came into Royal Air Force service during the Second World War. The officer's later marketing slogan was the eyes of the army, and it was a very apt one because officers provided over-the-horizon artillery spotting in Normandy as the Allied forces advanced, helping direct artillery fire onto the desired targets. The same was done by the US Army Piper L4s, themselves accompanied American ground forces into northern France in the early days after D-Day. Sometimes been referred to as the last dogfight on the Western Front was conducted between a Storch and a Cub in the closing weeks of World War II. The Cub encountered the low and slow-flying Storch. It was with gunfire from the observer in the Cub that the Storch was finally brought down. That attempted today to counter the Storch about to taxi past, owned by Mark Davey, based at Bent Waters, flown today by Richard Grace. to our left is painted as an example that served with the four. This one being 57G, the code on the fuselage side, is depicted by another airworthy cub owned by Robin Roberts. This one owned by Duxford's flying display director Jan Fraser, and it's been very appropriate in the past.